Hello students, continuing our lectures on the nervous system. This particular segment, this particular mini lecture is going to give you an overview of of nerve physiology, of how neurons end up transmitting electrical signals and how they communicate with each other. This is a really key segment, a really key lecture for you at this point. If you understand this overview, if you understand kind of the general basic principles of which the neurons conduct electrical impulses, then the details will start to fill in, and I think you'll get the whole picture. So first of all, here's one neuron, and I call this the presynaptic neuron. Here is what I call the postsynaptic neuron. Notice the space in between is called the synapse. Okay, and this is a very small space between two neurons. Now we have something called an action potential, and an action potential is an electrical impulse. And that electrical impulse, it will travel down the axon of the presynaptic neuron. When it gets to the axon terminal, it will cause neurotransmitters to be released. The neurotransmitters will cross the synaptic cleft. They'll cross this space. They'll bind to neurotransmitter receptors on the dendrites of the postsynaptic neuron. And and when those neurotransmitters bind, they will cause what are called small graded potentials. These are small changes in electrical voltage. And they can both be excitatory or inhibitory changes. If I have enough neurotransmitters bind that cause enough excitatory graded potentials so that this next neuron reaches what is called threshold, that will generate a new action potential, and that action potential will then travel down the postsynaptic neuron to the next neuron in the chain. So there's two key things here, and we're going to study these in detail. One is this action potential. It's this electrical impulse that travels down the axon of the neuron. And then notice very critically right here, too, is when that action potential gets to the axon terminals, it causes neurotransmitters to be released. The neurotransmitters will cross the synaptic cleft, bind to receptors, and if enough excitatory neurotransmitters cross and bind, they will cause enough what are called graded potentials, small changes in voltage, that will cause this neuron to reach threshold and generate a new action potential that will then travel down this axon. And so we'll be talking about these more in detail. Again, the two types of signals, there's the graded potentials. We have what are called EPSPs, excitatory postsynaptic potentials, and we have IPSPs, inhibitory postsynaptic potentials. And they are short distance electrical signals, very small electrical signals that are caused by the neurotransmitters binding to the receptors. And then we have the action potentials, the electrical impulse. This is a long distance signal. This is an electrical impulse that travels down the length of the axon from the cell body of the neuron to the axon terminals. It has what is called an all or none response. We either create an action potential or we do not. And once that action potential is created, then it will always travel all the way down the axon. Thank you.